Hello, Marky Dragon, also known as Marcus Eikenberry in real life, and welcome to a hangout for Nether. Actually, it's a roundtable. And I'd like to welcome several people to the roundtable here. Go ahead and unmute your mic whenever you want to talk. Let's see, we've got, let's see, who all have we got here?
We have Dan Nicolaitis. I'm the technical director for Phosphor Games and the lead programmer on Nether.
Okay, welcome, Dan. Who's next? We got Justin here, K-Pop.
Hey, I'm Kelly Pop. I'm the community manager for Nether.
Okay.
And on the Phosphor Dev side, you've got Chip Zaneni, Travis Hernandez, and Chase Hernandez.
Okay.
And we are, Chip, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm the project lead. Travis is the lead designer, and Chase is the producer.
Yes.
Okay. And it looks like I saw your camera was working earlier. It's not working right now. You know, Google Hangouts can do that sometimes.
There we go. It's now you should see us a little cramped in here. So
there we go. Okay, yeah, 3 for the price of 1. Awesome.
Yeah.
Devs are on special today. And then we got Mark here. Hello, Mark.
Hey, I'm Mark Davidson. I am executive producer for Nether LLC.
Okay, very good. We got a full crew here. So, and those of you who are watching live, feel free. There is a link in chat being posted about every 10 minutes where you can join us in the Hangout to actually ask your questions. And Kelly, are you going to watch for some questions that happen in chat?
Yes, I'm going to be keeping track of questions.
Okay, hopefully we don't get overloaded. So, okay, let's just start here with just a couple of questions. What is okay, so we know what Nether is. Nether is a survival game, first-person shooter where we are attempting to live and or maybe attempting to kill, whichever side you're on. And the evil guys are underworld demons. Is that right? They're underworld demons?
Close enough.
Close enough, close enough.
Sort of proto-supernatural.
Supernatural, okay. So they're bad. We'll put it that way. And so now, what is the current state of the game? I mean, is it fully released yet? Is it still in beta? Where are we at?
We're still in early access.
Okay.
I think we're pretty close to feature complete, although we still have a lot of issues that we want to solve. But that doesn't mean to say it's the end of adding features to the game. It's just we're at a place. I think we released it out into the world as a whole. I guess October 31st. And that's pretty much when I started on the project. And since then, we really much had an open world where there wasn't really a whole lot to do. And we thought, well, let's see what the community comes to us with and what we can build off of their feedback. And really, over the last 6 months, that's what we've done. And I think with the tribes, we took it to a logical conclusion of what we saw as a vision back in probably like Thanksgiving time.
And so when you say feature complete or whatnot, ready for full release, then do you switch over to a live team as opposed to a game building team, or?
We've been running it pretty much as a live team. I mean, initially we were really aggressive. We were almost on a mobile standpoint where we're releasing the game every 2 weeks. We had a new features, a new patch, and new updates. And then there's actually Steam came to us and told us, well, maybe you guys want to slow down a bit and let the community kind of digest the features that you're making. So around about the beginning of February, we decided, well, let's slow down and let's have larger features. And as a decision then, it said, well, should we wait 2 months and just put all of Tribes online? Or should we do Tribes in basically 2 bites for February and March, which is what we did. And really I guess the place where we are at right now is just preparing to get it into a state where we can come out of early access, get some promotion from Steam and bring it to a wider audience. I mean, we're really happy with all the guys that've been playing the game almost from the start and putting hundreds of hours into it. But at this point we need to open it up to a wider audience. But we really don't know what that audience wants. We know what our current audience wants. So I think the path of development on the next 8 to 10 months is really going to be determined by what happens as we come out of early access.
Okay. And I will point out the coverage that I did last weekend or weekend before, I had stated in a lot of videos and live streams that it was full release, and I was incorrect on that. I was corrected in every single video. I've got messages in every single video.
Yep, that happens.
So yeah, that was just my mistake on that. Okay, and now that we've got the game at the current state, we've got a lot of issues going on. And who wants to address like what the number one issue, number one fix is that's going on right now, the thing that's most important to you guys?
Well, I guess we have a large bug database. I mean, we've been concentrating on features almost since the word go, and we've embraced early access to try and just see as much as possible, put as much as possible as we could into the game, and we made mistakes doing that, but we really kind of learned as we went along what the community wanted and what they didn't want. I mean, we put features in the game from an early stage that were really, I mean, if we were a full game, then people would have just like stopped playing altogether. But we really took advantage of the fact we were early access and could experiment. So through the last 6 months, we have a bug database that really hadn't been addressed unless it was a major issue that caused a crash or major pain for the users. So our perspective from that is, and I mean, Phosphor can talk to that as well, was really let's address that and let's fix those things and let's have a more fuller user experience and put the tutorial in so we can allow people that are not hardcore gamers to be able to be pulled into the game a little bit better.
Okay. So
So I just wanted to add to that,
Sure.
like Mark was saying, we've really, since the last patch, just been focusing on crushing our bugs. And I mean, we've been clearing them out. I think a lot of us here, just on the dev side too, like we were excited about all the new features going in, but we saw the bug list piling up, and just it was actually nice to get a chance to address that. And so we've been knocking them out as many as we can every day too. So
how often do you guys play the game?
all the time. I mean, like, yeah, all the time, every day.
Yeah, I
and so
literally play all day, every day, at least 8 hours.
Okay. And so I assume that you are running into some of these bugs that other people have been running into.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So yeah, we had one happen today. Two of our team jumped to their death when they jumped over a fence. They fell through the world. So, and I couldn't figure out how to jump over the fence. Lucky me. So I was the only one who survived. Yeah.
This is our new enemy we introduced to Nether.
New enemy? Yes. The micro wormhole that if you hit it just right, transports you.
It is player versus environment, right?
Right. The environment won. So. Okay, we've got several people here who have joined us in the Hangout, and so feel free to unmute yourself, and I'll call on you, and then once your question is answered, go ahead and drop off to make room for other people who want to come in. Sam, how are you doing today? What kind of question you got?
Pretty Chaos Vanguard, and literally the number one thing is hackers. That's on everyone's mind. Hackers. So yeah, is there going to be solutions or what's going on with that?
I know for me, I've been doing a lot of server admin stuff recently, and we realize it's a big problem because I know sometimes I'll ban someone, and then almost, I don't know, I want to say like 25% of that time that person will end up coming back to the game the next day. They have a new name, they possibly have a new account, and so I think we're really trying to crack down on how people are getting back in the game after we ban them, because that seems to be the biggest issue. Is even though we are actively banning people, it's not sticking how we want it to stick, where they are gone. They come back. So
do you know how they are? Because I got told how they were getting back in.
Okay, we're not gonna say that out loud in case it's a security thing on how they're getting back in. But yeah, you can give that information to them in private. We don't want to expose that. But they do need the information to plug it. So if it's still open.
Yeah, but that information would be huge. So yeah, please get that to Kelly so we can.
Understood.
A lot of the times we're not on the channels where people are, discussing cheats and stuff like that, and we tend to find out about them best from the community. So anything you can do to feed, like Kelly, that information, we can get on it quickly.
Definitely.
Okay. Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, I was about to say thank you very much, guys, and it's nice to see the devs responding to the community.
Yep.
Thanks, Sam.
Yep.
Okay. Just unmute your mic and I'll call on you if you'd like to talk. Tim.
Hey guys.
Hey, first of all, we want to say we're big fans of your videos. We totally saw your video right away, and we're like, awesome.
Those are really cool.
Yeah, we're like, your videos are better than ours. So great.
Okay, so Tim, I guess you better shout out your channel or whatever.
I guess you can look up Tim Skywalker with IJ instead of the I on YouTube, or just look for Nether Hope trailer, I guess.
Okay.
I made that.
Cool.
Great video.
Thanks, and thanks for giving me first place. Now my question: a lot of the objects the scaling seems a little bit off, and that's on some unenterable buildings, but also on vehicles. I was wondering, will you guys be addressing that, or is that gonna stay the way that it is now?
I think that's one of those. It's just one of those things that's like we're trying to get through the higher priority bugs of stuff like where you fall through the world and you get stuck or you get killed by a fence. Yeah. Yes, stuff like that. And I think we're. But I 100% agree that the scaling issues. I see it all the time. I came from an art background before I got into design, and I pester everybody every day with like how there's things that just look wrong in the game where you see that stuff, and I think we're trying to get to it, but it's all just part of the priority of what's hurting the most amount of players first, and then we get into like more of that cosmetic stuff after that. But it drives me nuts. So I agree with it.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot then. Looking forward to what this game has to offer, and thanks a lot for mentioning that you saw the video and liked it. That's awesome to hear. Thanks for letting me ask.
Thanks for making it. They were super cool.
Yeah, the whole team loves them. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Thanks, man.
All right. Good luck with the questions, guys, and I'm gonna head out. Give other people the chance.
So,
Thank you.
Kelly, did you want to bring up something from chat? One of the questions from chat.
Yeah. I know this question we get a lot. We always have is, are there ever going to be PvE servers without any PvP?
Mm-hmm. And
so I can address that a little bit. So the concept of a PvE server it's both a technical problem and a design problem. Like if first of all, if you allow PvE servers, then you have this problem of people going into the PvE servers and getting a bunch of gear, and then going into the PvP servers where they then fight against other players. So how do you balance that across the different server types? And some of the suggestions are, well, you have 2 different character slots, and one that can only play on PvE server and one that can only play on PvP server. It's not a very elegant solution, but it's one solution. But there's a lot of problems around that. And then there's a lot of problems on the technical side of splitting out that data and managing the 2 separate server pools. It's totally doable. It's just a question of priorities. So it's certainly something that can be done. I'll let the design team comment on that as well.
Yeah, something too. I think server options are definitely a cool direction for where to even take it further, because I think, we're even seeing in the community like how, every time we do a feature, you see a lot of things of like half the community loves it and the other half hates it. And I think what we could do more is try to put more of these types of things in server options, which is what you see in Rust and other games like that, where you could have a whole PvE server, and people that just kind of want to like not get shot right away can do that, but it doesn't have to ruin the game for the people that really like the more aggressive or really lack of trust of a PvP server. And I think there's other types of servers we can do and all that. And I think the community suggesting like what kind of stuff they'd love to see in server options, is a great start.
Will you ever do paid servers? Like being able to rent a private server?
I think right now, I mean, I don't know if the background to what we did with Nether, we basically built everything from scratch. I mean, Phosphor built that entire city. I think this is a story Chip can tell you from building the city, but not only did we build the entire game, but we also built the entire back end from scratch basically since, and it's been 12 months, I think, since we started development, maybe just less than 12 months. Mm-hmm. And so really we were learning in all the cases. We were learning what we should be doing with survival horror, what we should be doing with the survival game, PvP and PvE. And really our servers, what we wanted more than anything was scalability, and we weren't really looking towards individuality on the servers. And I mean, if you look at Rust now, I really wish we'd gone more to the Rust model where you have all these local servers, we have all these different flavors, and it might be a little bit more difficult to join a particular server, or once you're on a server, you're basically dedicated there. You can't really switch around so much. But I think that builds more of a eclectic game, and I mean, I think that's just a lesson learned from what we've done. So when we talk about could we do a PvE or a PvP server, that's just as doable as saying, well, let's rent out a server to a clan or what have you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see here. We've got Steve and Grant who are here as well. If you have any questions.
Hello.
Hello, Grant.
Hi. I have a question about what's it called? The factions kind of thing with the tribe system.
Okay.
The tribe system is awesome. I like it. But the problem I'm finding is whenever I'm capturing something, there's no one there. There's no battle. So it's just me sitting there for 20 minutes and there's nothing happening. My idea is that, like, instead of having, like, what is it? I don't know how many there are. There's, like, 30 or something. Like, there's a lot anyway. Take the number of places you can capture and, like, drastically just cut it in half. Have maybe 3 in the wasteland, 3 in the city. So then people are always constantly fighting for those areas, and there's never nothing that's not there, and there's always people fighting, and it would be like an all-out war.
Sure. It's so funny. I'll let Travis speak to more of this, but in the beginning, we kept flip-flopping between how we wanted to do it, where we had, like, do we just want exactly what you said, like 3 spots, or do we want, like, originally there was like 64 spots or something, and we kept, like, trying to figure out, like, what was that magic number so people felt like they could progress but also encourage battles. And I'll let Travis speak to
Yeah, I mean, the reason we ended up going the direction that we did initially is the kind of thought process behind that is we wanted players to be able to feel like they really owned the city. So we wanted to give people a ton of places to capture just so you could really feel like, I don't know, we wanted to get sort of like territories marked out where it's like, oh, we own this little corner, or we own this section up here, and we're just going to hold on to this for as long as we can. But obviously things feel really different with, a server with 10 people on it, or 20, or 40, or 50. And so I think that that's a great idea. It's definitely, like Chip said, that's definitely something that we thought about. And now that we've seen sort of how the tribes actually play out on the live servers, it's an idea that we can talk about a little bit more seriously and sort of take a look at what players are doing now, what we can do to kind of highlight that conflict. Maybe some other things could include, like, clear markers on the map of, like, when your territory is being attacked, like what territory is specifically being attacked. So if your tribe sees, hey, they're taking this place over here, maybe you guys can converge and go hit whatever other tribe is attacking your currently owned territory. I think the other thing too is that we really want to start calling out a little bit better which territories are important and which ones are kind of like secondary objectives. For instance, if we had 3 really important territories around the map that gave you, really powerful buffs or something like that, those might be areas of high contention. And then we could still have the little territories everywhere, but really get conflict going at those bigger, more important areas. So, yeah, thanks for the suggestion. That's an awesome idea, and we can definitely talk about it a little more seriously now that we've got some good community feedback.
Yeah, thank you. I also have another question. So you guys also released the ability to play as a Nether. I really like that. I think that's awesome. But I'm wondering if there's going to be, can I play as a Golem? Can I play as a Shrieker, Watcher? Because if you're a Shrieker, you could definitely just screw up a group of kids, and it would be
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, we thought one of the directions we'd like to go, and it's just kind of it's more again up to the community of what features they want us to see it as push, but we really like the idea of evolving the creature mode where that's just like the first stage, and then you get you can become a hunter, and then you become a watcher, and you could getting up to the golem, and we think that's a really just neat idea where people could almost be almost have a creature tribe, where if you just kind of want to go out there and just cause some hell, you could do that.
Yeah, we've definitely had a lot of cool ideas we've kicked around. We've even, like Chip was saying, something as hardcore as, maybe you start as a loss. And if you can get a kill as a loss, then you upgrade to, a crawler or a shrieker, and you kind of go up the hierarchy. So when somebody's actually playing as the golem, you feel really powerful. You've earned that achievement. We've also talked about maybe just, possibly having creature skills that are unlockable, so your creature actually becomes stronger the longer you stay alive and things like that. We have a ton of thoughts. It's totally like Chip was saying. We want to see what the community wants, and if people would like us to blow that feature out a little bit more, maybe we'll have the opportunity to do that.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Is this actually in the game right now? The ability to play a creature?
Yeah.
I missed it. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
I wanted to go. I totally want to just go screw with the other players, and I think that sounds like a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, you with the sniper, and you sneak up right behind him, and boom, you just knock him out.
Check out the store. We got a blue Nether potion in there. Just grab one of those, drink it down. Check out the crawler.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do people know how to play your animations? Your taunts as a crawler?
I don't know. I assume they do not.
There is a hidden way to do it. Yeah, it's funny.
So, okay. Well, I'm looking forward to that next time I play.
Let us know what you think.
Yeah. Well, I'll get it on video. So,
that'll work.
Yeah. Kelly, you got any more questions stacked up there?
Yes. Will the game see further optimization to improve performance?
That's a good question. Well, so the short answer is if it needs to. So it depends on how we don't have really good metrics right now for how the game is performing on computers around the world, right? So releasing a PC game is really hard because it's really hard to know what the PC market, what kind of computers your game is going to be running on, right? And we were definitely trending more towards getting it done as quickly as possible versus optimizing during development. So there's a lot of things in there that are not optimal because they had to be in order to get them done in the time we had. There's a lot of stuff that we could revisit to make more optimal, and we actually did a lot of that stuff kind of post-launch. We did a lot of performance optimizations, but a lot of the things that people are going to have issues with are going to be kind of very specific things, and so we would have to target those things. Widespread optimization, we might do another pass at some point in the future, but it's hard to say. Like everything else, it's all prioritized based on is the percentage of players who are experiencing poor performance greater than the percentage of players who are having their play experience ruined by falling out of the world or various other bugs.
Yeah, and I know with the latest patch, a lot of people on the forums were saying they were getting better performance just due to all the bug fixes.
Yeah, I know something that's funny too is I've seen some people on the forums say they're getting worse performance, and other people are it's better, and it's just it's hard to track like why that is. I don't. Sometimes it's like a Windows update can do weird things, or I don't. It's always hard for us to figure out why it's. It got better for some people, it got worse for others, and I mean.
And it could always be like that person's PC versus our game, or
yeah,
any of those number of factors.
Yeah, I mean, I think though, like anyone has like metrics or figured out something that causes bog or anything like that, can definitely speak up on the forums on what they're seeing, and it might lead to something that we don't see in our systems, but we can then figure out it exists.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So I know that I have a really beast computer, and so I seem to do okay. But of course, the lower the barrier to entry, the more players there will be playing, and then the more cannon fodder there is for me to shoot at. So, Kelly, you got another question there?
Yeah, I have a few weapon questions. So, the Mach 9 was recently made a secondary. People want to know, what about the Lopez? Could that be made a secondary?
Possibly. I think the Lopez is an interesting weapon because we don't have a lot of like weaker guns. Like a lot of our guns are really powerful given the right situation. And so one thing I kind of like about the Lopez is that it's something that we can sort of award to players that's a good middle ground. It's really good if you're a starter, you don't know where to find the good stuff or how to craft the good guns, because it'll help you stay alive. And when you're just getting into the game, that can be really challenging. So I think it might be a little bit too strong to be a secondary. The Mach 9 was in a weird place because it was sort of like a gun that you would never really use. There was almost always a better alternative. So now I think it fits a lot better as a secondary because now it's a great gun. Now you definitely want it as your secondary weapon. So, pending feedback, it's a possibility. I'm not going to say we'll never make it a secondary weapon, but don't really know if I feel too strongly that it needs to be at this point.
We're also talking about maybe experimental a little bit with the recipes when you're crafting guns. So you could put a pistol handle on like a shotgun, and then you could use that as a secondary.
Use a hacksaw shot, shorten the barrel.
Yeah, gun customization is another one of those things. It's like we've kicked around the idea so much around the office, and we definitely think it would be cool to do. Given the time to work on a feature, we'd definitely love to at some point. Like where, instead of just getting a recipe and spitting out the same gun every time, it'd be awesome if you could, say, put a silencer on any gun and just have that be a silenced gun or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of weapons, so when I have a gun and I'm confronted with a hostile, all I do is like shut my eyes, point my gun that way, and keep shooting, hoping that they die. When I get surprised, that's just kind of the way I go in the game. But the is there within the game mechanics, should I be aiming for a headshot, or is there different areas that have different effect when I'm shooting someone or something?
Well, so for right now, I think that messaging is it's one of those levels of polish that we always want to work on, and we definitely want to communicate a little bit better which shots do more damage or what the better sort of strategy is when you're fighting. I will say that, aiming down sights is always going to help. It's going to, make more efficient use of your ammo and things like that. And headshots, if you take the right perk in the gun skill tree, will do a lot more damage. I would say, our skill tree maybe doesn't get as much focus as it deserves, but it does make a significant difference when you're playing the game. I think that adding in, damage based on body type or different effects depending on where you hit would be really cool. It's definitely a feature that we would have to look at for the future. But headshots do count, and aiming down sight will help with the accuracy a lot. So.
Also, just as someone who plays the game a lot, I tend to fight a lot of Nether. One of the things that I found particularly troublesome about them is that the different types of Nether behave differently as you shoot them. So, for instance, the crawler teleports a lot. He's very evasive. So if you turn and try and blast a crawler with a full auto weapon, it's likely that you're going to be shooting air, because you shoot him once and he's going to teleport so you can't shoot him anymore, and he can get closer to you. Whereas the golem is just going to run headlong into you, and the more shots you pump into him, the more damage it's going to do. So just reading the Nether behaviors kind of gets to be something that you have to do to survive efficiently, especially when playing for like long bursts of time, because you'll figure out that like the crawler will always teleport when he's hit. Like 95% of the time, the second he takes damage, he's going to jump away from you and try and get the drop on you. But then there are other enemies like the Watcher who's going to run a little bit more headlong because he's got a little bit more health and he wants to hit you with the strong attacks. So it all sort of comes with the play experience, and you kind of have to puzzle solve like, well, if I'm getting attacked by a horde of these, Nether, and it's like 3 crawlers, a golem, and a shrieker, you kind of have to know what they do and prioritize and say like, well, the crawlers are obviously going to get to me faster. Let's shoot those down first. But before we do any of that, got to take out that shrieker. I'm just going to get piled on and I'm not even going to be able to move. So like, it all sort of comes with sort of the territory of the survival genre almost. It's like you need to watch them, and it's very much like they're hunting you as much as you're hunting them.
Mm-hmm. Along with being more skillful in how like I play the game or whatever. What was the decision that went into why we have an account-based skill and then we have a character-based skill? Why is this? Why don't we have to where people like me who suck at the game can just work harder and eventually get our skills up a little bit more?
Yeah, so I can address that. That's a large part of that was based on community feedback. So when we first, I remember really early on when we were designing the skill system, it was actually more of like an attributes, like stat-based thing, and it was consistent. It stayed with you after death, and you had like 200 attributes that you could assign points to randomly. This was like really early on in prototype, and it just didn't feel good. Didn't really feel meaningful to get like 0.1% more melee damage when you level up. So we made the decision actually based, a lot of us play like MOBAs and ARTSs like Dota or League of Legends, things like that. And part of the fun of those games is like it's a fresh start every time and you feel noticeable progress when you level up. So that's where we came to our current skill system, which is like you have, hopefully meaningful upgrades that will disappear when you die. So the idea was we wanted to make like your individual life a lot more meaningful. It seemed like players kind of like that, but people also wanted the ability to sort of work to something long term. And that's where the account level system came from. It's like, if you're dying every day, if you kill a Nether, if you run a courier mission, if you do the escort, whatever, as long as you get a little bit of experience, you're working towards that long-term goal of like the account level up and all the cool like sort of perks that come with that.
Mm-hmm. That's what I need. I have to go the brute force method.
Just keep hitting that wall. Eventually break through.
Just keep going, and eventually something will happen, and it'll be a mistake, but I'll look like I'm doing okay at that point. So Steve has a question. Steve, what's on your mind?
Hi. So I'm Shady from Chaos Vanguard clan, and we're doing a lot of clan war, and we're having issue with people having too much doctor's bag, because it's really easy to find them in the outworld right now. Is it normal that the spawn rate is like that high?
No, if the spawn rate might be a little out of whack. I haven't been seeing too much feedback on that. The loot balance is definitely, it's a really hard thing to test because we need like 50 testers playing around the clock to get a good feel of like a full server's balance and how that affects the spawns. There are a ton of factors that go into, especially with the new crate system that we implemented, tons of factors that go into determining what will actually spawn out of a box. I can definitely take a look at that if that's a real problem. I will, kind of do my usual thing, investigate what people are saying, and look at our QA feedback, all that good stuff. But thanks for making us aware of the issue. I can take a look and see what we can do on our side.
One more thing, do you plan on adding an anti-cheat system, and when will you do it?
We kind of already addressed that question. Dan, was there anything else that you had to say?
Okay, we're experiencing issue with vehicle in Wasteland, and can you add some like motorcycle inside Chicago, the city? Because we're having no vehicle right now to do our stuff in the Chicago city. We're having like issue with the vehicle in Wasteland by the what is it called, the highway, but in the Chicago we don't have any more car anymore. Are you planning on adding some, fixing the car?
That's one of those things that's kind of based on the community's feedback a little bit. We found internally that the vehicles were a lot more fun out in the wasteland. That's why they're now tied to one of the territories that you can capture in the wasteland. Do you remember specifically which territory it is the name?
Yeah, it's Business Park.
Business Park, right.
Yep.
So you can always get vehicles there and take them in. But again, depending on what the community says, if a lot of people want vehicles, we can, see what we can do there. Chip, did you have anything else on that?
No, did you guys, one thing we had heard early on that people liked the buggy a lot more than the motorcycle too, so we cut way back on the motorcycle. Again, I don't know if there's community feedback they'd want motorcycles back in more, or...
Because right now with the highway glitch, we're having trouble getting the actual car to the city. It's even hard because we're glitching through the bridge. So by adding motorcycle, I think it's like better for the city than because it's harder to drive and you don't run packages by jumping on top of it. So just
So are you falling through? You're falling through the bridge. You said like there's holes in the bridge, and you're falling.
Yeah,
through
and in the highway and wasteland, when you drive your car around on the highway and the bridge, you have to not move. If you move sideways, you actually glitch through the bridge, and you fell down in the water, and you lose HP and you die.
Okay.
Weird.
So that's a glitch.
Yeah, another fun thing that we found recently with the vehicles is that your player is taking damage when you fall, not the vehicle. We found that recently, and we're looking into it so that when you get out of your buggy, you're not like gonna fall over dead. So that's just another fun thing that we just need to find the time to work through.
One more glitch with the vehicle. Some passenger another person enter it and get glitch inside of it, cannot escape it, like cannot get out of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues with the with passengers in the buggy, and that's because we originally were going to use the base implementation of vehicle passengers, but we decided not to use that because we wanted passengers to be able to shoot out of the vehicle. So in order to achieve that, we had to rewrite the entire vehicle passenger system, which obviously we didn't have a whole lot of time to put the system in, and so there's bugs with it. So we can either spend some time addressing those bugs, or a quicker solution would be to basically revert to the old passenger system. And if we need feedback from the community basically as to how useful it is to ride in the buggy to be able to shoot your primary weapon out of the buggy while you're riding it. And if everyone's like, yeah, that's super useful and that we do that all the time, then we will need to fix the current system. But if it's not useful, then we'll just revert back to the system where it's much less buggy for passengers because it's already working.
All right, thank you. I really love the game, and I really like doing clan war in your game. It's really fun to mass PvP. Thank you, man.
Awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. So we do have some room in the Hangout if anyone's wanting to join us. There's a link being posted in chat for that. Kelly, got any more questions coming from chat?
Yeah, auto snipers. Are there any plans for a sniper that would be automatic?
Sounds like a cool idea. It's definitely something we can think about. That is one thing is if you guys out there in the world have any suggestions for guns you think are really cool or things like that you'd really like to see, send that feedback our way. Because if we start hearing from a ton of people like, hey, auto snipers would be cool, or this gun or that gun, it lets us know what to focus on next, and that'll kind of speed the process along of that weapon actually making it into the game. I think any of those ideas sound awesome. So the more you guys have, send them over.
Do you keep the guns?
Yeah,
in
we're
the
always
game?
worried about making stuff too OP. Sorry, go ahead.
The weapons in the game, are they all based on real weapons, or are there any that do you have any fantasy in there?
Very, very loosely based on real weapons.
Yeah. Or is it the can guns with the
bubble
gum?
Yeah, the pipe sniper.
Pipe sniper. Yeah, I have one of those. I pack that every day when I go to work.
And we also recently introduced Nether weapons, so that's like guns and melee weapons made out of the various Nether parts that you find when the enemies drop their loot. So the hunter has this chest needle attack where he shoots a bunch of needles out of his chest and does a lot of damage. And we thought it'd be cool if you could craft a like makeshift weapon where it incorporates that chest attack. So you kind of see this gun that's got a hunter chest crammed into it, and it shoots out the chest needles, which we call bone swords. So
it's definitely we found a little bit later in development that we basically when we started working on the can gun, one of our artists did like a sculpting pass on the can gun, which was just supposed to be like a little throwaway weapon that players could get really easily, and it actually we think is pretty cool. Like it's just a neat idea. And we kind of found that the crafted weapons, sort of the makeshift thrown together stuff, we think those are a little bit more fun than just sort of the run-of-the-mill military guns that we've been putting in, that we had in early on. So there's definitely some thought that we would like to focus a little bit more on the crafted weapons, just because, I don't know, they're pretty, they seem to fit the aesthetic of the game a little bit more. And so, yeah, we just think that they're cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know I love the Heartburner shotgun.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's pretty awesome.
I think Steve has another follow-up question on weapons as well.
All right, so are you planning on adding a gun modification with nether pheromones, like a bow that you shoot and it attracts nethers where your arrow lands? That'd be sweet.
That is a really cool idea. We had not thought of that yet, but that's actually a pretty neat idea.
Like you mix your ammo with the nether pheromones, and when you shoot a guy, it attracts nethers on him. So that'd be a really cool feature to have.
That sounds pretty awesome. Yeah, I like that.
Like a bow something.
Yeah, I think that would totally.
You can totally grief people with that.
Yeah. And that's always more fun. Like, why just shoot somebody in the head when you can grief them and send like 50 nether to go kill them instead? That's way more fun.
Yeah.
It's actually fun to make like the aggro on someone else than on you.
And totally, if you're going to shoot it bow-based or something, then maybe there should be a chance of failure while it falls at your feet.
Yeah. That'd be great. I'd love it, for real. That will be sweet.
We have a lot of cool ideas about how Nether interacts with PvP at the same time. And like one of the ideas we have is basically making like lost minefields where, you see a dude who has a melee weapon and he's trying to sneak through a bunch of lost. And instead of shooting him, you can shoot a lost and then they all kind of like explode in a chain reaction. And that's kind of something that we've always talked about as being a cool thing that we could do in our world where you have a lot of, AI following you around and stuff like that, like tossing aggro onto other people and other cool things like setting up traps for people. Like maybe, you can bait somebody into a golem or something like that. That would be so cool. Like if you somehow were able to put some, juice on yourself where another won't attract you and you like look like a hapless, green backpack dude and you like run by a guy and he starts chasing you and then you train him into a building where there's like a ton of golems in there, right? That would be really hilarious. So I think there's a lot of things like that we've talked about that would be really cool to do.
You can add a Pokeball too where you can spawn a nether. That'd be another idea.
Nether in a bag.
I've had an idea for a nether bag forever where you just carry around this little small nether. And, you can just throw him out, and you don't know what he's going to attack. He might come in and just attack you. He might attack the other people, but it's basically kind of like a last-ditch, like, chaos X Factor, where when you're in trouble, you just throw a bunch of them out and hope for the best,
Yes.
Yes, and they all shut me down on this, but you, the community, can make this happen.
If it happened, I want to name it. All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Well, let's see here. I don't see a name popping up on that one. We've got somebody else who's just joined us. Quantum. Oh, it's quantum physics. Yeah, we played together a little earlier today, and had a good time. And then he won a drawing that we did too. So, okay, but he's not unmuting his mic, so maybe he doesn't want to say anything.
I believe he shared a picture where he had created a really awesome nether bow. It just looks really cool. It's made from nether parts.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Like that idea. Yeah, that's really neat.
Hello?
Fire nether parts.
There we go. Hello, physics.
Hi. How's it going? Yeah, I wanted to bring up a topic about the nether bow. and the pheromones. I also thought blood, nether blood, would do some damage over time, like you're getting hunger damage. I think that would be cool.
Sure.
Also, like what was it? Screamer saliva. It blinds you for a short period of time. I thought that would be a good idea.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to share an idea.
Cool.
Yeah, no, I think, I mean, we like, bows are just cool weapons in any game that they're in. They're a little bit tricky to do, like, you know, if you want a real, like, longbow style weapons, we have to then spawn an actual projectile arrow that tracks over the server, and it's the same for everybody and things like that. But I think the idea of it's really cool, and it's really flexible. There's a lot of customization that comes with something like that.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, what is in the whole process of developing Nether right now? You know, where the game status. What is your guys' biggest pain point that you're trying to get through right now?
Mike, did you want to talk to this, or?
I think something. I mean, I think the thing that we've kind of we put it. Like, this is kind of was mentioned earlier, but you know, just how many features we put into the game so quickly. You know, we would tend to, like, you know, put a feature in as quick as we could to just see, did it resonate? Did people want this? Did we put the feature in, but then they kind of ignore it? And, you know, you can kind of see that, you know, some ideas are definitely rose to the top, and some things we put in, like, people don't really use. And I think now we're just trying to polish what's there before we go again. You know, like a lot of things, like, you know, again, like that vehicle point of, you know, hey, you put vehicles in, and now I'm stuck on the wasteland. And, you know, we want to make sure that, like, you can now do all the features we put in well, and then, you know, before we start jumping into a new, bigger type of feature.
Do you guys keep any metrics or something, or stats on what's being used, how often, and whether or not people are being successful with it?
A lot of it tends to come from actually Kelly in the community. So Kelly will kind of go like, hey, you know, we noticed this, we saw that, and we tend to use a lot of stuff on the forums. You know, like, it's kind of hard to do metrics on, you know, is someone enjoying a feature or not. You know, you can kind of tell if they're using it, but you can't really tell if they're, like, saying this is something we like, or this is something that's, you know, we want more of, or this thing is awesome but it needs more polish. And I think the best way we've just seen so far is just you know, people going on the forums and piping up what they see.
Yeah, and the more the better, because it seems like every time we have a discussion about a feature that we're on the fence about internally, somebody will be like, oh yeah, everybody on the forums hates this feature, and then, like, somebody else will jump on and be like, no, I saw 10 people that love it. And so there's, you know, the larger sample size we get, the more accurately we can make those kind of assessments too. So the more people tell us if they love or hate something, the more seriously we can address the issue.
And a lot of people bring up great ideas to actually improve the features so that more people enjoy them instead of it being like half and half.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, one of my fears about games, in many ways, is how there's a vocal minority, and then they say stuff like, "But I want more free gold, more bullets, please," you know, and everything. But and everybody wants this, but of course, you know, the fun of the game is actually trying to achieve that. And, you know, so I think it's, I guess, just a comment that it's good to have multiple sources of communication, because different people gravitate to different areas. Like I've never been into the forums, but yet, you know, I've watched other streamers play and listened to what they say, and I've, you know, we worked with their own people and then players in the game.
Yeah, I think the forums have been super useful for us. I mean, analytics give you some raw data, but they don't really tell you why people like stuff. I mean, we knew early on that people loved the wingsuit, but we didn't really know why until people started posting these videos of, like, jumping out of buildings as a group of guys and, like, going and attacking another set of guys. And that is really interesting to see. I think the forums is one form of context, and I think the videos are super good to see how people are playing the game.
Mm-hmm. Hey, looks like we've had Dan join us. Dan, go ahead and unmute yourself if you got... No, he's dropped off. Okay. Put him on the spot. Oh, no. So, Kelly, have you got any more questions from chat?
Yeah, the chat loves talking about weapons. One question was, would there ever be weapon attachments? So, like, if you have a sniper rifle, adding a bipod, stuff like that, maybe a new sight.
We all caught about half of that. Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, sorry. So they want to know if there would ever be the option for weapon attachments. Am I cutting out again?
No, I hear you.
Okay, good. Sorry. It's so like adding a bipod
like
to a sniper rifle.
Totally, yeah. Yeah, that's a very cool idea. We definitely like the idea of customizable weapons. So like, if you find I don't know, like a rab, maybe you can put a better scope on it, or get rid of the scope, put on a different kind of iron sight, or like an iron sight. You know, have attachable silencers, bipods, all kinds of stuff. We think, yeah, all that stuff is very cool. It's a neat idea for a system that we're definitely pretty excited about. And if that's something that the community wants, that's definitely something that would be cool to talk about.
Going back to what you were talking about on you know, just how do we get better sense of what people actually want, you know, more than just like the local minority. I do think we should probably have a better system of even asking questions, you know, and like putting a question directly on the launcher so anyone could kind of just quickly answer it. Like, you know, something we talk about all the time is, you know, do people want, you know, more guns or less guns? Is the game more fun when guns are scarce? Is the game more fun when guns are common? You know, kind of things like that. And, you know, you can, you know, when we tend to do a balance change, you'll hear a few people really pipe up quickly, but I think there's some and those kind of questions change the way the whole game feels, right? If guns are scarce, it's more of a melee focused game. It's more of a, you know, like do you trust this person or not? Do you go around them? But, you know, if guns are super common, it's way more, you know, you can kill somebody and not really worry about it. So I think those kind of things, like we just have to be better too about just constantly polling the community on to, you know, what kind of game do they want this to be? And, you know, down the road too, some of that could more be server options as well. But I think just in the immediate term, you know, what is the base game?
Okay, I think we have the Cyber. Do you have a question for us?
I'm not really sure about it. I just joined, so I'm just listening to kind of get an idea of what it's all about, what is the topic, and things like that.
Okay. So, okay, I don't know what's going on here, but that is a game that we're not currently playing. So, yeah. Hey, sorry, buddy, but I booted you out. So we've got Chris who's joined us. Chris, do you have a question for the team?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My question was about the actual the map itself, because I know you guys added the Wastelands recently, and that's great and all, and I know you guys are obviously probably going to do more things with that. But did you guys have any ideas for like the complete finished map? Like, are we gonna see another diverse?
Chip, do you want to talk about the map?
Sure. I think one thing that we tend to do is that, you know, the map is actually pretty big, and the one thing the map does, there's not a lot of games as dense as Nether on a persistent server. You know, every time we make the map bigger, we actually have to do another passive optimizations to make, you know, what before just ran well. Now we have to go back and figure that out, like all the collisions and everything we hold on the server. So, you know, the server, you know, can hold all the AI, the players, what everyone's doing, all the pickups, all that stuff, and it tends to compound. I think if we do another map change, we'd have to start figuring out like how we'd want to almost zone things or do things to make it so we can hold even more and more stuff. Like I saw there was a comment on the thread even like, you know, hey, how come I can walk through tables, you know, and that's, you know, honestly, that's just a quick optimization right now of, you know, that it's just one less collision we have to hold. And granted, long term, we can still do those kind of things. Like we could just do more like clumping of collisions. So like, you know, you walk into a building instead of all, you know, 20 tables having 20 pieces of collision, it's technically one piece of collision, you know, things like that. And that all kind of comes with time. And I think that's just kind of what we do if, like, I think if the community said the number one thing we wanted was a bigger map, then we would probably just shift focus onto that. And I think it's just one of those things that's like, it's a pretty big thing to do. So I think we just have to, we'd have to pretty much get a consensus if that was what the main direction of the game was, to go.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where you increase the map size a little bit, the issues we have to deal with in the development side of things increases exponentially. Like even just small incremental increases just blow up in terms of bugs and things like that as well. So it's like the map is one of the most time-consuming things that we do, just in terms of like hours that we have to put into it, polishing it up, and everything like that.
Yeah. So again, it's not that we we wouldn't do it. It's just more like it's kind of one of those things like we'd have to put a lot of resources for a long time on it. So we would just want to make sure that if that's what the community really wanted, that's what we'd focus on. Kind of thing.
Okay, as a part follow-up question, and then I'll give somebody else a turn. Along those lines, have you considered keeping the map the same size, and then just maybe shortening the wastelands some, or like maybe cutting them to like 2/3 what they are now and adding one other section or something like that? Because I mean, like, I agree that the map size is pretty good even for a full server. You're not always going to be running into people right away, and the wastelands is a really cool theme and everything. But I do feel like it gives that sense of being a wasteland, but also it kind of feels, certain sections of it at least, like useless. And like, have you considered at all maybe just adding or changing part of it to maybe add one, like a third element or something else further down the line, not saying like right now.
Yeah, we kind of look at the wasteland as the wastelands in the city was, and like when we released the game, like the beginning of November, the city had a lot of like, there was a lot of like weird spots and patches, and we've kind of like addressed a lot of that in the city. Actually, there's still parts of the city we want to, there's still parts of the city that even feel useless and stuff. A lot of them now have safe zones or just points to take over. In the beginning though, it's like there was only one safe zone in the whole town, and most of the spots on the map were pretty empty. And now the city's actually pretty dense. And I think the wasteland should go through a similar thing where, hey, there's this whole like 3 clumps of islands that have no point. There's just a couple of loot over there, and there's no reason to visit it. And putting a genuine base there, a crashed airplane, a weird crater thing, some type of weird thing that there's actually stuff to do there that you actually want to play around. And I think there's just a lot of room for that in the wasteland. In addition to fixing parts of the map, like something that kills a lot of us is like the downtown on the map is actually pretty cool, where where the skyscrapers are, but there's not a lot to do. And we've always talked about opening up those buildings and doing more there, and we're just kind of making that even more of a hub of things to do. So I think that's like just from a development point of view, that's what we love to focus on next, is more just like making what's there just play a lot better, because there is a lot of space, and just making it important I think would give a lot of bang for buck to players.
Yeah, like the city took a long time to get to the place where it's at now, where it seems like your map is almost overloaded with stuff to do. And that's definitely, I think, a place we could get the wasteland to. We just need to keep putting time into making it better. Like in the last patch, we were able to go through and get in, courier missions and escorts and loot drops and all sort of stuff. So now at least there's like, you can do almost as much stuff in the wasteland, going from outpost to outpost as you can in the city. Not quite the same level, but it's definitely getting there. And that is something that we want to work on and polish up as well.
Okay, so we'll start wrapping this up. Do maybe just a couple more questions. Kelly, do you have any good questions that have come up?
Yeah, there was an idea for a tribe dedicated to friendly players, and I thought this could be really cool because I know we get a lot of feedback when I'm in game, on the forums, on social media, of people joining tribes, but then for whatever reason they just keep getting killed by their tribe members over and over again. And this idea would be a tribe where friendly fire is turned off, and it's just friendly players. They all work together. Thoughts on that?
We've kind of tended to think of friendly fire as like another possible server option, where if you want to play on a server, you could do that. I think as a tribe, it could be really interesting. I do wonder if there would be a lot of tribe advantage to doing it. Like, you know, a lot of people would join this tribe so they could just like shoot through all their friends to kill their enemies. Like someone could just, I mean, granted, you know, you're still going to stop bullets, but that they'd be more careless, you know, around things. They wouldn't have to be so, you know, tactical about things. So the tough thing we have is that a lot of times, like, you know, we want to do this cool feature, but there's also an exploit side to it, and we have to kind of weigh, is the exploit side gonna be more harmful than the positive side? Like, I mean, originally, that's why we let you see your tribe member. We're like, oh, if you're in a tribe, it would really help you to see, hey, this guy's friendly. I don't have to kill him. I know him and stuff. And I think the thing there is instantly people turned it into a, I'm gonna, you know, spy on the other tribe and cheat and find out where everybody is and give everyone their position on Skype. And, you know, it was like something we tried to do to help people, you know, so they could be more friendly, and it just turned to be like a negative. And I think friendly fire, we'd kind of have to weigh back and forth on, you know, if it was per tribe and not per server, we'd have to see, like, does that really help or hurt more?
And I mean, think about the advantage you would get in a firefight if your tribe couldn't kill each other, but the other tribe could. Like, the other tribe would have to be so much more careful with where they're shooting, where they're swinging their melee weapons, and your tribe could just go nuts because, you know, like, there's no way I'm going to kill my friend. So it's definitely a neat idea. Like, I like the idea of a tribe that's all friendly to each other. You know, all the tribes should be friendly to each other. But that's definitely something that, like, you know, it needs a little bit of deeper discussion and things like that.
Yeah, you could almost do that with a thing where you could do like weird severe penalties if you kill your tribe member or something.
Yeah,
I don't know if you'd get an accident
done. Yeah, that's not bad.
You could do it that way for sure. I think that one thing
So
you
then
could
if you sign up for that tribe, go ahead, sorry.
you could do a thing where you you know, like Chip was saying, I think, and Travis were saying, I don't think having a friendly fire being off for just one tribe makes sense. It makes more sense as a, you know, PvE server type thing. But what we could do is we built this system to have this kind of generic reputation system that kind of mimics what it would really be like in real life, right? And so if we could have something where we have a tribe that is considered by most other tribes and everyone else in the world as universally, like, positive, you know, like Red Cross type whatever, you know. So if you're in this tribe, anybody in the world loses reputation with everyone else if you kill somebody who's in this tribe. And if you're in this tribe and you kill anyone else, you lose a ton of reputation with this tribe as well. So, like, say you're in the Red Cross tribe, you're not allowed to kill anyone now, and if you do, then you get kicked out immediately.
Yeah.
And, you know, something like that could definitely be done.
Yeah, or we could even, like, you could lose a lot of money, you could lose a lot of stuff, or there could be like a severe penalty. So only the people that genuinely want to play friendly would actually join this tribe,
right?
And so they kind of know you're friends with them or something.
But to speak to your point, Kelly, about players who are getting killed by their tribe mates, we're definitely trying to build a system to discourage that as much as possible. And we might have just not gotten it perfectly right. I mean, there might be just some loopholes that allow people to do it and aren't punishing them quite enough. And we just need to make that more punishing, but still allow for mistakes to happen, right? You don't want to be permanently banned for a tribe if you accidentally shoot a tribe mate one time. But you also don't want to allow the type of behavior that we've heard of where you know, you just grind some rep and then you tribe kill a bunch and then you grind some more rep and tribe kill a bunch, and the net result is that you can kind of get away with it without really being punished. So, you know, in the end, I think our goal is to find a system that's kind of balanced for the intent of it, which is to kind of mimic a realistic reputation system, which is like, okay, if you kill people in my tribe, you're going to end up being hated by us and we're going to hunt you down, and vice versa, and, you know, kind of mimic all those different social groups and stuff that exists in the real world.
Yeah, I know when
actually
I'm
a really
playing,
good comment right now.
I know when I'm playing that I notice the people who are most successful with tribes are active in chat. They're saying, "Oh, hey, I'm joining this tribe. Is there anyone around that is also part of this tribe?" And they just try to communicate and find people that are going to be friendly. And I see a lot of people usually meeting up at one of the safe zones and then finding friendly players on their tribe through that. So maybe check the chat and see if anyone's willing to work with you.
That actually might be one feature not a lot of people know that we actually have. We do have a like /party and /tribe chat. Those are enormously helpful for like talking to people that you want to be friendly with, especially /tribe, because it broadcasts to everybody else on the server with you that's in your tribe. So that's a cool way to meet people, definitely. that's a really good point.
I think there's a good comment on the side about how can you tell who's more your tribe member, and I think we're totally looking for suggestions. We originally had that name tag thing that didn't work, where you could see who's in your tribe. But I think if there's other ideas people have for identifying your tribe in a way that's not beneficial to trollers and stuff, we'd love to get those.
I know that I targeted some of my own group today on accident, just because they were far enough away I couldn't, I didn't know exactly who they were.
Right, and I was just in the chat. I was just saying that's kind of intentional. So part of the problem is that we kind of dropped the tribe system into a game that already existed, and people already had a kind of a precedent of just shoot everyone, right? And so when you're already dealing with that precedent, it's kind of harder to get in your mind, hey, maybe you shouldn't just shoot everyone that you see. And that's kind of the intent behind the tribe system, is to make it less shoot on sight. And so we understand that that's a problem, identifying tribe mates, but that's kind of intentional. So really the end thing is, how do we evolve that and make it to the point where players are respecting that intent, if that makes sense. So
right. It's almost like the penalty still isn't very if it's almost trying to simulate what would happen in an apocalypse of I can't just kill everybody and expect to just kind of get by. What is is there a proper penalty that's still not being given, so you don't just try to shoot people until you're really sure about it, kind of thing. Because right now, if you're still leaning towards it's easier to just kill people and deal with the consequences, then that's probably just the balance isn't right yet then.
Okay, Kelly, make the last question a good one. No pressure.
All right. Are there any more ideas for different types of nether?
I'd love to have we've talked about this a while. Originally the Reaver.
The Reaper.
Reaper, sorry. The Reaper was, going to be this giant cool boss that you fight and stuff. And he's okay for what he is, but we'd still love to have a giant Titan or something that appears like a big event where hey, if everyone can take him down, there's this great reward, and he's bigger than buildings and just kind of coming through. And it's funny is now the wasteland's big enough that we probably could have had something more like that on the wasteland. But something like that could be really cool. We've had ideas for littler things that kind of little grub type things that kind of even come maybe quicker and more in bulk than a crawler. And also we're up for anything. If the community has hey, this is a super cool idea for for a new creature, you guys, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you everybody for joining. Thank you everybody for your questions and chat. I know we didn't get to 100% of everything. We'll have to save some goodness for the next time. So I'm looking forward to. I'm enjoying the new features that are in the game, and I am looking forward to to further quality, less bugs, and which I think will make for more fun. And thanks again, everybody. And this, for those of you who are just catching the end of the broadcast, this video will be available on my YouTube channel. And I guess that's it. Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Marky.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Marky.
Thanks, guys.
Good talk.